there will be a consensus over those issues. This decentralization, for instance, CHP actually is better than our party in that context because they actually accept the European Council's, framework in terms of decentralization, which actually they recognize that decentralization of the central entity is important. But our party actually seems to be agreeing with the European Council's position on decentralization, but they go for extreme centralization, in terms of the role of executive body in the system. So in this sense, it will be actually quite a political configuration, actually, after March, how our party will behave, because they are the dominant one. They might actually explore different alliances to actually go for a new constitution. In terms of your question, we always say that we shouldn't do romanticism in talking about new constitution, because new constitution will not solve the Kurdish problem. New constitution will not solve the Alawite or other problems. So there is no need to romanticize the new constitution. But nevertheless, new constitution, if it is achieved on the basis of how we want it to sound, which is equal citizenship, plurality, the strengthening democracy and checks and balances, will actually provide a very good opening, a very first start for actually first, tackling the Kurdish question, and then also establishing a new type of citizenship regime in Turkey. For violence, of course, there is a difference between PKK problem and the Kurdish problem, and the PKK problem is based on violence, is based on terror, whereas the Kurdish question is based on how they talk about it. It's an identity question going for recognition. Our party might be successful in actually dealing with the PKK problem, and really Erdogan and our party trying their best or what they can do to actually kind of minimize the PKK problem before 2014 elections, because that would actually give a good way for them to actually win all these elections. But of course, minimizing or solving the PKK question is not solving the Kurdish question. Kurdish question is actually a much more fundamental question and has to be democratically deliberated. And new constitution might give us a necessary but not sufficient condition for the starting of the deliberation on this issue. But you're convincing one. I understand you. But all the actually...
I don't disagree. I just try to understand. I was so, I said objektif insanım, objektif bakıyorum. O yüzden ben öğrenmek istiyorum daha çok.
I know.
Please, don't be wrong. I just try to, understand this. Because I think maybe there might be many people who try to understand, but not bring to us. So this is why actually it's not about being brainless. Actually, about
more actually realistically, I should say something and leave it to Mehmet, because I don't actually talk about Kurdish question in detail in talking about the new constitution, because the new constitution goes much beyond the Kurdish question. It's about how to democratize, how to actually strengthen the system. But on the other hand, we face a very significant problem, and the significant problem is this actually. Turkey and Turkish state has been quite assimilationist vis-a-vis Kurds for a long time. But the assimilation strategy is over. Even though the Turkish state wants to go back to assimilation, it cannot. Today, realistically, sociologically and politically. It has, in the AK Party government, it has actually some integrationist, approaches. The language, openings, as you said, actually, a whole bunch of things happened. The new TV channels, new openings, and now we are actually very, sort of easily and freely talking about Kurdish question, and we are saying all those things, which was not possible 10 years ago.
I sometimes
But on the other hand, what challenges Turkey is this. If you are not able to go back to assimilationism, which is very good, you cannot. But if your integrationist model is not enough, and if you are facing the problem of segregation, between Turks and Kurds in Turkey, then you have to have a new paradigm. You know, because at the same time you have to actually challenge segregation among Turks and Kurds, and you know, create a new vision. So in this sense, equality is the only way to go. To accept, to promote, to speak for equal citizenship between not only Turks and Kurds, but everybody living in Turkey is the only way to go. If you push this debate, in what way we are equal, whether or not we are equal, did we do something wrong, these are actually passe things. These are the things of old Turkey. Right now, what we should do actually is to create that equality in terms of policy, in terms of legality, in terms of politics, and in terms of norm among all the people living in Turkey. Not Turkish and Kurdish, but Turks, Kurds, Alawites, Gen, women, you know, all of them. So let's not actually, you know, push that. Let me convince. Let you, you know, like please convince me kind of thing.
Oh, sorry about
it
this.
is very important actually to tackle that challenge, because if
No, please don't.
if
It's
actually
not a challenge, no.
no, if you miss that chance, then we might actually have a much more divided, much more polarized, much more actually